says the verse, when I bring them to the land, that I swore to his forefathers, Zavat chalav udvash, a land flowing with milk and honey, and he ate and he was satisfied, and he grew fat. The land was he'll eat and be satisfied, and he'll grow fat. And then what happens when you grow fat? You turn to other gods. And they will worship them. And they will niyatsuni. Rashi says it means they will hilchusuni, they will anger me. The word niyut means lashon kaas, expression of anger, and they'll reject my covenant. And then when they find him, when they find him, when all these rabot v'tzarot, these many evils and distresses will find him, then he shall raise this song, which is the parasha of Azinu. Rashi said, we'll see what Rashi says. He'll raise this song before him as a witness. And it not be forgotten from the mouth of his descendants. Because I know its inclination that he is doing today. Before I bring them to the land that I have sworn. She says, and then this song shall speak up as a witness. I warned Israel in it, that all the evils which will encounter it. This is the promise to Israel. The Torah will not be forgotten by their offspring. This is a promise that your children will not forget your Torah. Not all the children, some will forget it. Moshe, verse 22. And Moshe wrote Moshe wrote this song on that day, Vaylamda et Bnei Israel, and he taught it to the children of Israel. Rashi says, Musav Mala Klapeshlina. This refers to the divine presence which was mentioned above. Oh no, I didn't do that, Rashi. There's no Rashi. By Yitzavet Yoshua ben Nun, and he commanded Joshua, and he said, Chazak v'yametz, be strong. You will bring the children of Israel to the land that I swore to them, and I will be with you. Rashi says, Vayitzavet Yoshua Musav v'Malach HaPeshtina. God was the one doing it, as it states, meaning to say, Moses is not the one commanding them, but God commanded Joshua. Or Reb Sosa. Yeshua ben Nun. Okay. Verse 24. So Moshe wrote this Torah on that day. The last day of his life, what was Moshe doing? Writing a Torah. That's very powerful. The last day of Moshe's life, he was writing a Torah.
According to one midrash, it was Shabbos, right?
And Moshe died on a Shabbos?
He said according to one midrash.
Yeah, no, I know. I heard that. I was.
So what I remember,
and I don't know, like thinking to myself, well, if his last day was Shabbos, how would he write the Torah on Shabbos?
So what I remember is that, according to this midrash, that basically he did what's called hashba'at kolmus, that he was dictating to the
quill.
Yeah, like Harry Potter, which is incredible because, like until Harry Potter was written, nobody believed that such a thing can be, right? But
well, you know what? I kind of feel like that. What's her name? J.K. Rowling. She got all her ideas from the Torah and the Midrash and the Talmud. Okay,
For
The
sure.
verse,
My ex's husband wrote a book called Harry Potter and Torah, and it's mentioned there. So
there you go. Okay. Okay. So verse 20. "Vayihi kechalot Moshe Tovas Devrei Torah Zot al Sefer Atumam." And Moshe finished writing this Torah completely. Vayitzav Moshe et Halaviyim. Moshe commanded the Levites, Nosei Aaron Brit Hashem Lemor, who carried the ark, saying, "Al koch et Sefer Torah Zeh, take this Torah scroll, v'samtem oto mitzad Aaron Brit Hashem Alkechem. You shall place it next to the Aaron Brit Hashem. Vayasham b'chal ha'ed, and it shall be there for you as a witness." Okay, mitzad Aaron Bris Hashem, what does it mean? Rashi says, Nechaku bo chachmei Yisrael b'Baba Basra. The sages in Baba Basra have an argument about this. Yesh me'im omrim daf hayo bo'et min Aaron livachutz. What does it mean that Moshe took this Torah and placed it next to the Aaron Bris Hashem? What does it mean? So it could either mean that there was a board that was jutting out from the ark, outside of it, and there the Torah scroll is placed. And some say so some say that the Torah scroll was on a board outside of the ark, and some say that the Torah scroll was inside the ark. Inside the ark. So according to the first opinion, that says that it was on a board that was jutting out from the ark, what was covering up the Torah? It was just sitting there? Was it just sitting there? Is that even possible? That's what it says. And according to the other approach, it was inside the ark. What? He wrote it, and then this is where they placed it after he wrote it. Yeah.
Isn't he supposed to be on the mountain?
No. He's not writing this Torah on the mountain. He's about to die. This is the last day of his life. So he's not on the mountain anymore. He's in the plains of Moab. He's not near Mount Sinai anymore. God says, "For I know your rebelliousness and your stiff neck. I know this while Moshe, I guess Moshe's the one speaking here. I know your stiff neck while I'm still alive with you today. You've been rebellious while I'm alive. For sure, after I'm dead, you're going to be rebellious. He says, gather everybody, all the elders of the tribes and your officers, and I'll speak in their ears these words, and I will testify to them the heavens and the earth. So this word, by the way, v'aida, that has to be on the top of the column. That always has to be the top of the column. Rashi says, Hakilu elai. V'lo taku hayom b'chatzotzros. They did not blow the trumpets that day, to gather the assembly. Because it says, Aseh lecha, make for yourself. And God did not give Joshua authority over the trumpets. So they didn't, normally when they gathered, they would gather with the trumpets. But Joshua did not yet have authority of them. Even while Moshe was alive, they hid the trumpets before he died to fulfill the verse, on the day of his death, there were no trumpets. It's kind of like an esoteric point that focusing on the lack of trumpets that day.
Also kind of a bitter.
They couldn't have trumpets because it's a day of death, right? Trumpets are festive. But trumpets could also be sad. And Moshe saying, I'm going to testify before them from the heavens and the earth. It already says above. It already says above. I'll call heavens and earth today to bear witness. Israel. There he said he's going to call them to Israel. Above he says he's going to testify to Israel. But he didn't say to the heavens and earth. But now he's saying it. Listen to the heavens and the earth. Meaning to say, before he told the Jewish people he was going to call the heavens and the earth to bear witness. And now he's saying this to the heavens and the earth. He's saying to the heavens and the earth, I want you to bear witness.
Is he saying it as a prosecutor or as a defense lawyer?
Well, he's about to say why. Ki yadati, why do I need the heavens and the earth to bear witness? Ki yadati achrei mosi, because I know after I die, ki ashpei tashlitun, that you will go away, you'll be sinful. You'll depart from the path that I will command you. And this terrible thing will happen to you in the end of days. Because you will do bad in the eyes of God, to anger him with the work of your hands. Rashi says, Vanta Ashira Zosofanav Aid. Well, we skip. So Rashi says this. Oh wait, no. I went back a page. After my death, you will act corruptly. Ironically, Moshe was not correct here. All the days of Joshua's life, if you look at the book of Joshua, there's only one sin in the entire book, and it was by an individual. The Jewish people did not sin in that book. That's what Rashi's pointing out, because it says in the verse, "Vayevod Yisrael at Hashem kol yimei Yoshua." So from here we see shetalmido shel adam chaviv olav kegufo. From here we see that a person's student is as dear to him as himself. Shekol zman sheYoshua chai. That we see from here that a person's student is as dear to him as his very self, because as long as Joshua was alive, it seemed to Moshe like Moshe was himself was alive. So when Moshe says, I know that after I die, you will go astray, it means I know after Joshua dies. Because he views himself as still alive as long as the student is still alive. That's an interesting point.
Where did you get that idea?
Because Rashi's bothered by the fact, because he says, I know after I die, you're going to become corrupt. But Rashi's saying, Moshe can't be a false prophet, but after Moshe dies, they are not corrupt. They're actually good. They don't make a sin until after Joshua dies, which is many years later. So therefore, it must be from here that he considered himself still alive as long as Joshua was still alive. And from here we see that if your student is alive, is as dear to him as himself.
Why did he say it?
That's what he was saying. After I die means after Joshua dies. Oh, why did he say it? He wants to teach us that lesson. A person's student is as dear to him as himself.
I see it as a much more bitter mistake.
Meaning, I know you're not going to listen.
Obviously, it's all going to go to hell in a handbasket.
Well, went to hell in a handbasket with him also.
Yeah.
I mean, they were sitting, they did lessons after he died. Okay. Vaydaber Moshe b'oznei kol kahal Yisrael et divrei ashir hazos ad tumam. And Moshe spoke in the ears of all of Israel the words of this song until their conclusion. Okay, speaking of conclusion, let's go to the Haftorah. The Haftorah for Vayelekh. Wow, we finished the whole portion, both portions. But don't get carried away because it was only 70 verses. So why it was kitavo so long. Why don't we just split it up? Because we don't want to end the year with the curses of kitavo. So therefore, we have to make something in between the blessings. Okay, so we have the portion of Vayelekh, the Haftorah. Let's see if they have it here in my book. Here we go, the Haftorah for Vayelekh. It will come from Isaiah. Okay. So we're not going to read, see the Haftorah for, if this would be the Haftorah. Right. So we're going to read instead from Isaiah 61. This is one of the most beautiful Haftorahs, and this will be the last Haftorah of the year from Isaiah 61, chapter 10, verse 63:9. One of the most beautiful Haftorahs of the year. So sasis b'Hashem, says Isaiah. This is how many chapters are there in Isaiah? 66. So it's right at the very end. He says, I will rejoice. All the 7 Haftorahs of comfort come from the last 15 chapters of the book of Isaiah. So obviously, you see the previous week was 60, then Isaiah 54, Isaiah 54, Isaiah 51, Isaiah 49, Isaiah 40. So it's from 40 through 60. He says, rejoice, I will rejoice in God. Tagel nafshi be'elokai, let my soul rejoice in God. Ki'il bishani bigdei yesha, God dressed me in garments of salvation. Mi'il tzedakah ya'atani, in a robe of righteousness he robed me. Kechatan yechahen pa'er, like a groom who dons the priestly garments. V'kekala ta'adeh kelel, like a bride who dons the beautiful adornments. So you see, even though Moshe's life is ending in, as Steve said, a little bit of darkness or bitterness, the last Haftorah of the year, this is always the last Haftorah of the year, is read, sometimes it's not the last Haftorah of the year. It's always the last Haftorah of the year. Yeah, it's always the last Haftorah of the year, and this one is rejoicing. Last Haftorah of the year, we end on a happy note. So first he says, rejoice, because God is going to dress us in the fancy clothing. Because like the land, it will produce its garden. And its garden will blossom like its sowings. Kain Adonai Elokim, so too Hashem, my God, Yatzmiach tzedakah u'tihila, because righteousness and praise to grow, neged kol goyim, in the face of all the nations. And now this is a verse. It's too bad, Steve, that Shoshana wasn't able to make it today, because this is a verse that speaks to Shoshana's name. The verse says, if you ever have one verse that I would say is Shoshana, it's this next verse. Aman Sion lo echasheh. For the sake of Zion, I will not be quiet. Aman Yerushalayim lo eshkot. For the sake of Jerusalem, I will not be quiet. Ad yetzei kanogat tzedakah, until her righteousness shall go forth like a bright light. No, God is a bright light. Vishuasa kilapid ivar, and its salvation shall flame like a torch.
That's great.
What?
That's beautiful.
You can go home and please go home and say that we asked Shoshana to read Isaiah 62:1 and say we thought of her. V'ra'u goyim tzikeach, and the nations of the world will see your righteousness. V'chol malachim kavodeich, and all the kings. Well, Bill, thank you for being here today, Bill. We know you hustled. V'chol malachim kavodeich, and all the kings will see your honor. V'koralach shem chadash, and they will call to you a new name. Asher pi Hashem yikavenu, that the mouth of God shall articulate. Vayis ateres teferes biad Hashem, and you will be a crown of glory in the hand of God. Utsnif melucha b'kafel kayach. Snif is like a turban of a king in the hand of your God. The people will say about you, well, this is also one of the most beautiful verses. This is one of the most beautiful verses. Can you imagine who's reading this after the Holocaust? Lo yamar lacha, lo yamar lach od, azuvah, u'artzech, lo yamar od shemama. They will no longer say about your nation, you've been forsaken. And there will come a time when they will no longer say about your land that it is desolate. Ki lecha yikarei chavtzi ba. Because about you will be called, you are the desire of God. And your land is my spouse. Do you know how much people must have been reading this in the year after the Holocaust, and they come to Israel and it's desolate and they're under attack, and they think these verses will never come true. But now, of course, Israel is the envy of the world. That's not perfect, obviously. Nothing is perfect other than God, but it's certainly not a desolate land. Nobody thinks it's a forsaken land. It's a land that's flourishing, that is thriving, and a fulfillment of these verses.
I just wanted to say about verse 3 that my brother called his two last girls, he has 8 girls and 2 boys. He called them Ateret and Tiferet.
He ran out of names.
I don't think he ran out of names. He loved this verse, and so
it's very popular in Israel that great rabbis would take beautiful phrases from the prophets and give them give it as names to their children. And then ki yiva bachor b'torah uvaruch banayach u'mesos chatan hakora yasis alayach elokayach. So these are all these words were turned into songs that just like a man marries a virgin, and so your children will be married, and the groom will rejoice with the bride, and so too your God will rejoice over you. And now just do one more verse, one of the most famous verse. Al chomosayach Yerushalayim, on your walls, Jerusalem, Hifkadati Shomrim, I placed Shomrim, guards, on your walls, O Jerusalem, Kol hayom v'kol halayla, all the day and all the night. Tamid, lo yachashu, they will never be silent. The Buckingham Palace has nothing to these guards that God will place. Hamaskirim et Hashem, those who mentions God's name, Al damilachem, Al damilachem. So what does that mean? They will not. Dami is silent, but they will not rest for you. Okay, we'll stop here and we'll say the mincha now. Shkoyach to everybody.